this has been something you've been dealing with all your life. Can you remember a time where you haven't thought about the water that you drink?
I think my entire life I've been told don't bath in it, or don't cook with it, don't make coffee in it, don't even wash your hands in it.
Well, my daughter is 16. This is all she's ever known. And you're telling me you're gonna make me live this way for another 10 years?
Aaliyah Sloan and her mother, Barbie Ann Maynard, are just two of thousands of people living in Martin County, Kentucky, who rely almost solely on bottled water, using it for everything from drinking to cooking. They're just two of hundreds of people fighting for a basic necessity Aaliyah has never known: save water from the taps in her own home. It's a necessity she had to learn to live without, even at school.
Do you remember if teachers cared about the water? Was anybody paying attention at that time?
We had all the water faucets were all covered up with garbage bags, and we were told, the classrooms would have water bottles, and we were told not to touch the water. We weren't allowed to touch the sinks in the bathrooms. We would have Germex in the classrooms, and it was, to be in 5th grade, you don't really understand it.
Aaliyah goes to school in a different county now, one without a safe water problem. But those early years made an impact.
I go to school in Pike County, Belfry High School, and even then sometimes I'm scared to eat the food, and just because it's what I'm used to.
But people that you go to school with live in that county.
Yes.
They don't live in Martin County, so what do they think when you are hesitant?
Well, I think a lot of them, especially now, know the situation, so they don't really question it a whole lot. But my freshman year, they kind of thought it was kind of odd. And when you explain that, people don't think that it's happening in your county or in your country, or, you don't think about the fact that there are people in these areas that are hesitant to go for water. It's kind of ridiculous.
Life is different across the county line.
Y'all want some soup and cornbread? I made it with jug water, honey.
You made everything with jug water?
Put it on my jugs.
Oh my God.
It's a way of living in Martin County, honey. I got more over there. I got more out in the truck, in our pantry.
Since she was born, Aaliyah's mother, Barbie Ann, has taken measures to keep tap water out of her children's bodies.
This is how we brush our teeth. We keep a bottle of water in the bathroom. Okay, and here's my bottles of antibacterial soap.
Why don't you just use regular body wash? You don't feel safe?
I don't feel as safe. I think the antibacterial may help, may not.
They shower with water, but that's about it.
So how long do your showers normally last?
It's in and out.
They don't use the tap to brush their teeth or wash their faces. Barbie Ann even spent hundreds on a new dishwasher to sanitize the dishes her children use.
Life revolves around the water. When we get low and I can't afford to go buy more, there's a spring. It's about 40 miles from here in West Virginia, and we go there and fill our jugs back up.
Her bill for the water that she can't even use is at least $60 each month on top of that. That's nearly $500 each month for water. Barbie Ann calls the money she shells out for water a small price to pay to protect her children's health.
When you're in a situation where you have to constantly be watching, how is this going to affect me? If I use this water for this, you have to learn to negotiate and do different things.
At its worst, she says, their water was white and smelled like bleach.
I'm talking milk whites. And the smell of it would burn your eyes. When we did get it, it was up till 4 o'clock in the day for about another week. Well, my kids don't even get home from school till 4 o'clock. Even though we had water during the day, we go to other counties to take a bath.
Why haven't you left?
This is my family's home place. My mom passed away 10 years ago of cancer. And when we first pulled in, I showed you my mommy's flower garden. My mommy's been gone 10 years. She still gives me flowers. There ain't no amount of money run me off. So that's why I'm standing up.
Barbie Ann and Aaliyah aren't alone. There's a grassroots movement unfolding in Martin County as residents fight for access to clean and safe water. But not everyone's on the same page, and that has Aaliyah and her mother fighting harder and louder.
I'm 16 years old, and I understand a lot of people aren't going to listen to me. But it's been going on my entire life. I think if there wasn't anything wrong, my life wouldn't have been dedicated to fighting for this.
In her life, Aaliyah has seen the countless boil water advisories. She's seen the alerts shared on the back of her family's water bills, informing them of elevated levels of chemicals in the water and warnings of long-term damaging effects.
I think that it is ridiculous that you can look at these problems and it's on the back of your water bill. There is no denying it. It is in black and white.
Now, it's just gotten to the point where it's total crisis.
How long do you think you guys have been dealing with this problem?
You know, I think that the water problems have probably been a problem since before I even realized it was a problem.
Nina McCoy is just one of many residents of Martin County who has stopped drinking the water out of her faucet.
Well, back in 2000, October of 2000, there was a man-made environmental disaster when a coal slurry pond, they call it slurry, where they clean the coal. This one broke through the bottom, came through an underground mine, and luckily also broke through in two directions. In the immediate aftermath, I mean, this was, at the time, the worst environmental man-made disaster east of the Mississippi ever. Where people were trying to figure out, is our water safe? The coal companies were actually pretty nice to us. Well, we're sorry, man, we don't know what's in this and we're not sure about any of it. But EPA was very mean to us. And they were like, look, this is all right, your water's fine. The Division of Water came from Frankfurt and said, oh, there's no problem with your water.
The EPA says they did a full inspection, but she says the people knew better.
So at that time, we could have been declared a Superfund site. It could have been that the company had to do more for our water plant.
They saw the proof in their white, green, brown, and orange-colored water.
How does it make you feel that you can't just go to your tap right here when you want to make a cup of coffee for a customer?
We're so kept down by this, and it's been going on so long. I have a hard time going anywhere and just turning on the tap and getting water. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's sort of freeing when I can.
The water isn't the only problem. Martin County's water infrastructure has not seen substantial updates in more than half a century. Nina believes the water treatment plant is due for an upgrade as well. Some say their poor water quality is due to issues with the pipes. They're seeing regular breaks and leaks. County Judge Kelly Callahan has drawn criticism for his role in the crisis over the last 2 decades. He adamantly denies ignoring the people in his community. Judge Callahan says his only official responsibility relating to water is to appoint members of the Water Board. Still, he agrees with Nina in that an infrastructure overhaul is necessary.
Well, there's needs.
Okay.
No, I didn't say that there's not a problem. There are problems. When you can drive in the parking lot of the water company and it just looks nasty as hell. I mean, nothing but a coat of paint and maybe some, put a roof over it or something to make it look presentable. I mean, that's not very much money. And I think stuff like that needs to be done too, as well as upgrading the water plant, upgrading the pump over there on the river.
we have gotten notices of violation ever since 2000.
We found 2 chemicals show consistent elevations over the years: trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids. Both are used in treating water. Notices involving heightened chemical levels are mailed every quarter, and nearly every quarter, tests of the water have come back with some sort of violation. But often, those violations are delayed by months. Sometimes a spring violation isn't mailed to the public until the fall, and those notices are confusing.
Yeah, they're telling us, but, do we understand what we're being told? And unless you are highly trained in those areas, you really don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I have a college degree. I have multiple college degrees. And I have no idea what a lot of that means,
Stephen Ward works as the director for the county's health department. We spoke with him in an unofficial capacity.
As far as it being ignored, there hasn't been a specific link to that spill in 2000. People say that the water was worse even before that. That's before I know that you lived here, but do you see the water as a health concern?
Absolutely, I do. Like at our house, we use bottled water to drink. We still cook and, of course, shower with public water. But we are such an economically deprived community. Not everybody has that option. So, yeah, I see it as a grave concern.
The war on poverty was declared by President Johnson in 1964 on the front steps of this house behind me. Now, more than 50 years later, this county is still dealing with massive debt and unemployment.
The war on poverty was declared here. Do you think that kind of the poverty issue colors the way that people think about Inez?
I think that the poverty issue also covers the way Inez thinks about itself. Those of us who are considered as less are willing to put up with more.
Money that could have been used to fix the water infrastructure has consistently been used elsewhere.
We have been sorely mismanaged financially within this county, and I would like another shot at that.
The county profits annually from a coal severance fund. The state created the fund, authorizing $11.4 million to help coal-producing counties with economic development.
Our leaders have to make a choice. Our leaders have to be honest with us, because the community never would have supported that huge building down there.
We're standing inside of Martin County's Business Center. This is one of those multi-million-dollar projects that residents say was completely unnecessary. So it's the middle of the day on a Monday, so we decided to come inside, and we have walked through the entire building, and not a single soul is in sight. The building is almost entirely dedicated to the Board of Education rather than private businesses. Those who live in Martin County call the Business Center an eyesore, especially when comparing it to the rest of the community, and call it a huge mistake by county officials. Nina says big changes need to be made within local government.
First thing you gotta say is, yeah, we have a problem.
First of all, we know that bad decisions have been made in the past, and one of those was in refusing to listen to the people of the county who had been asking for years for the water board to listen to their complaints.
It's like a catch-22, It's like we need the money in order to fix things so that we don't lose water, but we can't, we can't get the money until we don't lose the water anymore.
I mean, poor people's got poor ways.
High poverty rates don't just impact a family's ability to put food on the table, it makes it difficult to keep a tiny county of about 12,000 people afloat.
How we were able to get into this far debt, I mean, I was just shocked when I heard of it the first time, and it just keeps getting worse.
The Public Service Commission, or PSC, says Martin County is $900,000 in debt. That number has only grown since the commission's last hearing in 2017.
Why they haven't addressed it before, I'll never know.
The county is having trouble pulling themselves out of debt because, like any business in this position, they can't get a loan. And until they start paying down their debt, county officials told the PSC a loan is unlikely.
A lot of people say, well, you know, if you can't drink your water, why would you pay for it? Well, if you don't pay for it, you're never going to be able to drink it, because those of us who are paying for it can't afford to give them free water.
Nina McCoy and Gary Michael Hunt are members of the Martin County Concerned Citizens Group. They say they are sensitive to the people who really can't afford to pay their water, but don't believe that's the main reason why the majority of the county's water customers don't pay.
You know, if you're 1 month behind, you know, you can expect that, because people do get in a pinch, regardless of who you are, unless you got plenty of money. But 2 months, that's it, cut them off. They'll find the money, regardless of who it is, where they come from, and how much money they got. I ain't no better than them, they ain't no better than me. But until you show the people of Martin County that you mean business, they're gonna do what they want to.
Judge Kelly Callahan has been in office for 21 years. Callahan insists the reason for unpaid bills is not as black and white as everyone makes it out to be.
$600,000 plus in unpaid water bills. How did the water board let it get that bad?
Well, let me explain that to you a little bit. A lot of that bills is somebody move into an apartment, 6 months, run up a water bill, and leave. Those are the hardest ones to get. And naturally, we're in a small community. You know, if you're on the water board and you cut somebody's water off and you see them at the post office, you see them at the store, you know, how's that going to make you feel?
Regardless of how the county lost out on that money, the PSC is working to figure out the best way to pull them out of this hole. The most likely solution, a 49.6% water rate increase.
I don't know how the people of Martin County can afford it, and I don't understand how the PSC can think that we need to pay the second highest rate in the state of Kentucky for what they have said is by far the worst water in the state.
Many don't want to pay for the water they already can't drink.
I've been notified 3 times.
They've consistently had elevated chemicals in their water.
So how often do you get a water bill with a notice like this on the back?
Every quarter. Testing for 4/1 to 6/30. But this is when it was printed.
September.
So we didn't get the notice that the water was failing for all these months until September. So they're not telling us exactly what they're testing, and the results are on the back of this. But they're not telling us about it.
And I tell them I hate to pay them. I do it because I understand they have to have some type of revenue coming in. But how can it be this bad mishandled?
And so most people like Barbie Ann Maynard and her friend Pamela Blevins are opposed to an increase.
I want to know who sat and dreamed that one up, because it's just crazy. They're asking us to pay for their mistake. I mean, people cannot afford this. I cannot afford this. And I cannot afford to dig a well.
Even Judge Callahan doesn't think it's the best idea.
I think that maybe we shouldn't, right now, in this emergency water rate case, I don't feel that's the biggest emergency in the world, and I think that's a little stiff. The last water rate increase, I think, was in 2010. If they would have done a little bit at a time, it would make the burden so much easier.
Instead of this 50%.
And still just boom, 50%. Here you go, guys. You got to pay this.
But the reality is an increase is coming, whether through the county or a third party the state would bring in. The Concerned Citizens Group is divided about which is better for the community. Barbie Ann says too much trust has been lost with county officials to allow them to fix things.
There absolutely needs to be a third party overseeing this money.
Not the water district.
No. Like you can have a bank account and you can have two people on it or both have to sign a check. I think we need a third party that needs to be on there, that before anything can be cashed, that third party needs to be involved.
Others like Nina think the county can handle it on its own.
We do have a pride in our county enough to where we feel like it can be done. And yes, we would like to have some control over our own water system.
Judge Callahan says the people of Martin County could wind up paying more if they're taken over by a third party.
Let me tell you what would happen if they put, the commissioners, well, the one commissioner, like say, well, we will put you in receivership. Well, okay. If they put us in receivership, you know what would happen? They would raise the rate more than 50%.
Yeah.
And then that make everybody look good. That, oh, we done this and, they failed to tell you that instead of a 50% water rate increase, it'd probably be 75. Because they'll have a certain period of time to let them dig out of the hole if they put it in receivership.
Callahan and the Martin County Concerned Citizens Group have something in common. They realize a lot is at stake with this rate hike. It could impact the future of their shrinking economy, and it has the potential to create a lasting impact on their environment. With all of the problems seemingly coming to a head, the choices made will decide who continues to live in Martin County and who goes.
I'm looking at all these young kids. Do they want to live here?
Well, I'm just speaking for my son. He's like, well, Dad, somebody's got to do something. He said, if not, I'm going to have to move away from my mom and dad. And I don't want that. I mean, I want to spend my life with my kids.
Is living in Martin County something that you want?
No.
Why not?
Mainly for the way that our local government is run. The fact that it's been 17 years and they have not even considered getting us clean water. I just don't think that this is somewhere I want my children to be raised scared that they will get cancer or have liver failure or something like that from the water in the taps. My family has been here for generations, and this is not a place I want to leave.